When you open the book of Psalms, you are not opening a theology textbook. You are opening Israel's prayer journal. Psalm 13, what we read tonight, was nearly 3,000 years old, long before Jesus, long before the church. It comes from a people who believed God had made covenant with them, and yet they experienced exile, war, silence, and loss. And in Psalm 13, we hear, "How long, O Lord? Will you forget me forever?" This is not a polite prayer. This is accusation. This is desperation. This is someone who feels abandoned. And here is what you must understand. Our sacred scriptures did not edit that out. It did not clean it up. It did not soften it. It preserved it as part of our sacred texts, which means this: God would rather hear and receive our honest protest than our polite pretense. Nearly 1,000 years later, during a Roman crucifixion outside of Jerusalem, Jesus of Nazareth, as a Jewish rabbi steeped in the Psalms, cries out the opening line of Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me?" When we hear that, we do not hear theological theory. We hear a first-century Jewish man quoting from his prayer book. The Son of God prays a lament. So if we have ever asked, "Where are you?" we're not losing faith. We are praying like the Bible. Our sacred scriptures teaches us to pray. Lament is not rebellion. It is relationship refusing to die. Now let's look at another ancient text. We read tonight from the book of Job. Most scholars believe Job may be one of the oldest stories in the Hebrew Scriptures. It wrestles with suffering before Israel even had clear answers about heaven or resurrection. In chapter 23, Job says, "I go forward, God is not there, and backward, and I cannot perceive God. Forward, backward, left, right, nothing." But then he says something astonishing. "But God knows the way that I take." Job cannot perceive God, but he trusts he is perceived. That tension is the birthplace of mature faith. Let me be honest with you. I was raised in the church. At age 8, out of a feeling of obligation, I walked the aisle to claim my Christian faith and be baptized. But it wasn't until I was 13 years of age at Philmont Scout Ranch, sitting on the edge of a cliff, looking out at God's creation, that I had a natural revelation that my parents' faith became my faith. I saw the face of God in God's creation. Any doubt of the divine dissolved. But here's a deeper truth. For decades after that, I did not walk in constant awareness of God. I caught glimpses at camps, at retreats, in special worship services. It was as if the holy brushed past me, but never lingered. God was on the periphery, and I suspect I am not alone. Sometimes faith feels like seeing something out of the corner of your eye. And yet, like Job, you move forward, believing you are known. Sometimes faith is not seeing clearly. It is trusting you are seen. Let's also be honest about something else. The Psalms were not written in comfort. They were written by a people who experienced exile, displacement, trauma, religious corruption. The church has had seasons like that too. Many of you may have stories: legalism, shame, harshness in the name of holiness. In the 4th century, after Christianity became legal in the Roman Empire, some believers fled the cities and went into the Egyptian desert. We call them desert fathers and mothers. One of them, Abba Arsenius, heard God say to him, "Flee, be silent, pray always." As Arsenius would go on to teach, he did not promise emotional highs. He did not promise mystical fireworks. He promised a path. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is not solve the silence, but keep walking in it. And let me say something gently. Some of us did not leave God. We left unhealthy versions of God. That is not atheism. That is discernment. In the 4th century, another Christian leader, Gregory of Nyssa, reflected and wrote about Moses climbing Mount Sinai. You may remember the story: the thunder, the lightning, the cloud. But Gregory noticed something. Moses did not find clarity in God. He enters darkness. Gregory writes, "The true vision of what we seek consists in not seeing." That is 4th century theology. Darkness is not necessarily ignorance. It can be depth. And even beyond Christianity, the Persian poet Rumi wrote in the 1200s, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Across traditions, across centuries, human beings have stood in the dark and kept seeking. The atheist Christian is not the one who stops believing. It is the one who keeps walking when belief feels thin. So here's what I'm asking of you this week. Not stronger faith, not louder worship, not spiritual performance. Just say one honest sentence a day. God, I don't feel you. Am I still here? How long, O Lord? I want to believe. Help my unbelief. This Wednesday, we will gather to receive ashes. Ashes are not a symbol of failure. They are a symbol of truth. Remember, you are dust. Lent does not begin with pretending we are strong. It begins with admitting we are fragile. If you have ever felt like an atheist Christian, you are not alone. You are standing in a long line of saints who kept speaking when heaven felt silent. And that is where Lent begins for us. Amen.